Welcome to the series that takes a closer look at the highs and lows of movie poster design, unpacking what makes them shine or miss the mark entirely. In this episode, we're diving into the Spider-Man franchise with 18 theatrical releases to its name. Let's see how the Web Slingers posters measure up for one of film's most iconic heroes. Starting off with Spider-Man 2. This poster is an excellent example of how to blend emotion, action, and design into one cohesive image. The composition draws you in immediately, with Spider-Man's outstretched arm leading your eye through the image. The intense reds of his suit contrast beautifully against the warm golden tones of the sunset, creating a heroic and cinematic feel. What's really clever here is how the poster captures both the action and the emotional stakes of the movie. Spider-Man's protective posture around Mary Jane shows his inner conflict, while her fearful expression adds a sense of urgency and drama. The subtle textures and reflections on his suit add depth and realism without sacrificing the comic book vibe. This poster does everything right, pulling you into the story with strong visuals, bold colors, and a real emotional punch. Moving on to Spider-Man 3, this poster does a great job at visually communicating the internal struggle the movie revolves around. The split image of Spider-Man in both his iconic red suit and the darker black symbiote suit creates a strong visual dichotomy that represents the battle within, as the tagline suggests. The use of lighting here is key. The black-suited Spider-Man is bathed in darker, moody tones with shadows and rain highlighting the turmoil, while the red-suited Spider-Man is lit more brightly, subtly suggesting hope and his true heroic self. The division between the two suits also physically splits the poster down the middle, perfectly emphasizing the theme of duality. From a design perspective, the symmetrical crouching poses add a sense of balance, but the different lighting and texture on each side make it visually interesting. The rain adds texture and atmosphere, making the poster feel more dynamic and alive, while also symbolizing the chaos and intensity of the story. This is a masterclass in how to use visual contrast to convey internal conflict, all while maintaining a sleek, cinematic feel that draws the viewer in. Next, this poster for The Amazing Spider-Man is a striking example of minimalism used to maximum effect. The entire design is about a simple but powerful concept. Peter Parker's shadow on the wall forms the iconic Spider-Man logo, instantly telling us who the character is without even showing the suit. The use of light and shadow is incredibly effective here. Peter's silhouette is positioned just right to create that perfect spider shape, hinting at his transformation and destiny without giving too much away. It feels subtle yet bold at the same time. The texture of the wall adds a gritty, urban feel, grounding the image in reality, while the dark lighting creates an almost ominous atmosphere, suggesting that this is going to be a more serious and darker take on the Spider-Man story. The tagline, "The Untold Story," paired with this imagery, teases that this isn't the Spider-Man we've seen before. There's something new and mysterious here. Taking a look at another poster from The Amazing Spider-Man, the focal point here is clearly on Spidey's suit, which has a highly detailed textured design that audiences have not seen before. The sharpness of Spider-Man's eyes, which reflect the city below him, adds intensity, making it feel as though Spider-Man is watching over New York, ready for action. The use of web patterns subtly placed behind him further ties the composition together and reminds the viewer of the iconic web-slinging action the character is known for. What's especially striking is the way the city is used as more than just a backdrop. It's both part of Spider-Man's world and part of his responsibility, reinforcing the idea that Spider-Man and New York are inseparable. The scratched Spider-Man logo in the center of his chest brings in a raw, gritty feel, hinting at the darker, more action-driven tone of this reboot. Finally, the title treatment is simple and futuristic, matching the updated feel of the film while keeping the branding recognizable. This poster for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse brilliantly captures the energy and diversity of the multiverse concept. The first thing that stands out is the use of perspective, with Spider-Man characters of various styles, sizes, and dimensions flying through the frame at different angles. This not only gives the poster a sense of motion and excitement, but also visually reinforces the idea that this is a Spider-Man story unlike any we've seen before. The vibrant color palette, with a warm golden cityscape in the background, contrasts nicely against the cool blues and reds of the Spider-Man costumes, making each character pop. Miles Morales is central to the composition, leaping out toward the viewer, instantly establishing him as the protagonist. His casual outfit, a hoodie and sneakers, sets him apart from the other, more traditional Spider-Man iterations, signaling that he brings a fresh, youthful perspective to the Spider-Man legacy. The comic book style art direction is also reflected in the bold, blocky title text at the bottom, which feels like it's straight out of a comic panel. The different art styles for each Spider-Man character are a testament to the film's celebration of animation diversity, and the overall design is energetic, modern, and playful, perfectly encapsulating the essence of the film. A high-energy, visually stunning adventure that embraces both tradition and innovation in the Spider-Man universe. Moving on, this Spider-Man Far From Home poster takes a playful and creative approach to communicate the film's theme of travel and adventure. Instead of the typical action pose or dramatic scene, the focus is entirely on Spider-Man's mask, adorned with travel stickers from various international destinations like London, Venice, and Prague. This immediately signals to the audience that this Spider-Man film is going global, adding a fresh twist to the character's usual New York-centric setting. The stickers are a clever, fun visual metaphor for Peter Parker's journey, both physically and emotionally, as he steps out of his comfort zone. The text at the bottom is clean and stylish, with the Far From Home subtitle written in a casual, handwritten font that complements the travel theme. Overall, this poster breaks from traditional superhero poster norms by infusing humor and a sense of global adventure, while still keeping Spider-Man's recognizable imagery front and center. It's a fun, fresh take that feels aligned with the more youthful, modern direction of the character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Spider-Man: Homecoming. This poster, while packed with recognizable characters and elements, suffers from an overcrowded and somewhat generic design. The most significant issue is the cluttered composition. There's a lot happening, with numerous characters and visual effects competing for attention, leaving no clear focal point. While it's understandable to showcase the big stars like Iron Man, Tony Stark, and the Vulture, their placement feels forced, as though the poster is trying to cram in as much as possible, rather than focusing on a single compelling image or idea. Spider-Man himself, the central figure of the movie, is actually lost in the mix. Despite his larger image in the background, it doesn't immediately draw your attention. And Tom Holland's Peter Parker looks more like a side character than the protagonist. The large, static Iron Man pose front and center also shifts focus away from Spider-Man, making it feel more like a general Marvel ensemble piece rather than a Spider-Man-specific story. Additionally, the background feels chaotic, with random bursts of fire, cityscapes, and flying objects, creating visual noise without adding meaningful context to the story. The tone of the movie, which balances lighthearted, coming-of-age elements with superhero action, isn't captured well here. Instead, it feels formulaic and lacks the personality that the film has. Having a look at another poster from Spider-Man: Homecoming. While visually appealing and laid back, it has a few design choices that make it less effective as a promotional piece. The relaxed, horizontal positioning of Spider-Man creates a mood that doesn't immediately convey the action-packed nature of the film. Another issue is the background. While the New York City skyline is iconic, it doesn't add much to the overall design. The inclusion of the Avengers Tower is a nice touch, but it feels more like a backdrop as opposed to a storytelling element, and it doesn't contribute much to the narrative or give the viewer a sense of what to expect from the film other than Spider-Man being in New York. Overall, while the poster succeeds in creating a laid-back, youthful tone for Spider-Man, it ultimately lacks the energy, excitement, and dynamic design that you would expect from a superhero film. Next up, Spider-Man: No Way Home. This poster falls into several common design pitfalls, making it feel underwhelming for such a massively anticipated film. One of the first noticeable issues is the composition. The elements surrounding Spider-Man, such as Dr. Octopus's mechanical arms, debris, and lightning bolts, are cluttered, and they ruin any chance of a focal point. The motion blur on Dr. Octopus's arms is another weak point in the design. While the intention may have been to show action and movement, the heavy blur makes the arms look less menacing and more like an afterthought, contributing to the overall feeling of a rushed design. The color palette is another major issue. The overall tones are dull, with muddy blues, grays, and browns dominating the design. Considering that this film has a multiverse story with so many colorful and exciting villains, the color choices here fail to capture any excitement. We do, however, see hints of Spider-Man's villains: lightning for Electro, a vague Green Goblin sighting in the distance, but none of it is used effectively. Rather than building anticipation for the multiverse conflict, these design elements feel like they were crammed in to fill empty space. And so, that wraps up my reaction to the best and worst movie posters from the Spider-Man franchise. Do leave a comment below and let me know which poster is your favorite. and consider subscribing if you're interested in future episodes of this series.